Hi, welcome to Piccadilly Talks. I'm Angelique Virtue, your host. Today, we're going to be talking about mental health in education, the importance of educators, parents, and all persons involved in the education sector being able to spot and prevent mental health issues that could negatively impact student outcome. To have that conversation with me in studio is Damion Chippy of Chippy's Tutorial Services Limited. Hello, Mr. Chippy, how you do?
I'm good.
This conversation interests me, or this idea, this topic, because I grew up in a society where Jamaicans were identified, among other things, as being strong and bold. We had a bravado, a sense of, I can do anything. You know, we shoot above our weight class in so many areas. We were mentally tough. But I feel as though in recent times, at every turn or so, I would hear persons speaking about how mentally not so well they are. You know, oh, I feel depressed today, or you know, the anxiety that I have X. And as things happen to us, I'm hearing more persons talk about how maybe unable or not as able they are to meet the demands of the things that happen. Mr. Chippy, is it that Jamaicans have lost some of that tenacity that we've become known for, or is it that we are now speaking out more about some of the impact that life has on us? We're now just talking more, and that is not that we've become soft. What is it? What's your take?
Well, my take on the issue is simply this. I mean, back then, when as you refer to, we were tough, we were able to get through. I mean, we were taught to suppress our mental feelings. Yes, I mean, it was a taboo, it was, stigmatized back then. I mean, parents used to have their children that have mental problems, and they, back room, because nobody not supposed to see you or whatever, or hear you, all of that. But now, what is happening now, we are more embracing mental health. All right, so people are now more talking about it. And again, with the advent of technology, where information is easily accessible, you will see and hear people talking about it from different culture, different region, different country. So everybody now is aligning themselves in
with
speaking
openness,
about openness and speaking about the matter in a way that it can give some insight to others who are facing the same issues.
So you're saying it's a good thing. You're saying what has happened in reality is that we're facing similar challenges as we had before, but now instead of facing them in silence and putting up the front that we have become accustomed to culturally, you're saying we're meeting the challenges just the same, but we're no longer as afraid to say, I don't feel well today, or I have anxiety about this. So we're talking more. It's not that we're experiencing these. We have become weak, we've become strong enough to talk about when we're not okay.
There you go. Even though, yes, although we are more speaking about it, we still have people who still have an issue talking about it. But we are more open than we were before. So it's not like we are experiencing it more than we used to. No, we are more open about it, which is a good thing. Because if we don't speak about the matter, it will, play out in some other ways in our life.
We should narrow this now, or bring it a little closer to home. Education and mental health. Again, for me, when I was growing up, I never know nobody in my prep school or high school that had any mental health issues. In my environment, now I'm hearing children who are talking to therapists. They, have checkups at the doctor, their medical doctor, physical doctor, as well as their doctor for their mental health. It's part and parcel of taking care of children. As an educator yourself, as someone who is seeing the system from that vantage point, what do you notice now that's different than when you were a student in prep or high school?
Based on what I notice now, it opened my eyes about some issues, even as far back as me going to high school. A lot of us have mental issues going back in high school. You understand me? But we were taught, do not open your mouth. Do not, yeah, man.
Untreated.
Yes.
Untreated, unacknowledged.
Good. So that's what we're taught. All right, don't make nobody here say this or else. You know, we don't want nobody to feel say or think say. So those are the taboo about it then. Now, in the classroom, as a teacher, I'm seeing it where students are able to speak about the matter more freely. You know, some students are going to a therapist. Even my daughter.
What are some? Well, what are some of the things that you hear students say that was never part of conversation or dialogue when you were a student?
All right. What I'm hearing them say now, they really feel depressed. They're unable to carry out some of their regular function as they used to do because they're not feeling well. Some of the students speak about the fact that even not them, but a sibling or a family member at home having or experiencing mental health issue. They're able to talk to the one another about it. Not without even talking to me, we can hear them talking to each other about the situation. Some, you know, they have to be excused throughout the day to leave to go to their therapist and all of that. So that's how we are also aware about it, that it's more prevalent in school. You understand me? Even my daughter had to go to see a therapist on the basis that her mom was murdered, actually. And this is when she was 3 years of age. I mean, at that time, I didn't want to accept the fact that it will bother her or whatever. I didn't, for me, but then I was saying I don't want her to have it as an excuse or whatever. But it's a good thing that I have good friends in my corner who, you know, kind of enlighten me about it, because I'm one of those persons who think that we should push it away one side. But as an educator, the more I see, you know, the more experience I realize that this thing is real and it's very important for us to speak about it. All right. I've seen where it helped my child as well, going to therapists and changed certain behavior. She used to display certain behavior unknown to me of the reason why she's displaying those behavior. But the more she's able to deal with the trauma that she had experienced, the better it is for her.
You know, Mr. Chippy, first of all, kudos to listening to good counsel. Yes, because sometimes as parents you receive the good counsel and you insist on having your own way to save face or whatever, but I think you thought about your child and took the wise counsel and acted in her best interest. You said a word that I think is the magic word, and it's trauma. That I think that whether I want to admit it or not, even from the time that I was in prep school and high school, what I know for sure is that we are a society where too many of our children experience trauma. And the thing with trauma is untreated, it lives, as we know, in our bodies, in our physical bodies, as well as our minds. So then we're coming to our 20s and 30s, and not only are we mentally not as healthy as we could be, we have all sorts of aches and pains and isms and schisms in our bodies. And all of that kind of unease and dis-ease is wrapped up in untreated trauma.
That is absolutely so.
As an educator, have you come across children who have experienced trauma, especially because, unfortunately, Jamaica is a society that has high levels of violence, especially gun violence? Have you come across children who you've been able to determine that, you know, it is a traumatic event outside of your child that is maybe causing them acting out in school, them not being able to focus?
But anything that I pride myself with as being an educator and also the head of a private institution, I have the ability to, you know, I put it this way, psychoanalyze every child that entered my school, my institution.
Yeah.
I tend to zoom in because my aim is to help the child. And I know that, you know, in order to teach the child have to be also mentally well as well.
Yes.
All right, so I have this ability to identify with that, to pick up on that something is wrong with this child. Many times I have to sit with parents, both parents or if it's a single parent, to try to navigate, okay, how do we go about assisting the child, helping the child. In fact, some parents are very amazed that I'm able to pick it up, I mean, for the first time or the second time the child is in front of me. That something is absolutely wrong. All right, so, but the reality is that for many of my, the students I've picked up, you have one or two of them that is really trauma by way of violence that they have experienced, whether vicariously or they have experienced it themselves directly. So the behavior sometimes, you know, aligns with the trauma in which they experience. In fact, sometimes, as I tell my teachers, that look, you know, sometimes when the students behave a particular way, the reality is that it's not like they're being rude per se, but they're experiencing some problems that as teachers, as educators, we have to try to see how much we can assist them. Yeah. Because if we educate them, in order for them to learn, they have to be mentally okay. So if it's outside of my purview where I can assist, I would recommend them to psychiatrists or so. But apart from that, we do what we can with the child. And it works best when the parent is involved as well. Because in most cases, I have the parents involved in order to deal with the situation. And let me tell you this, you know, until I'm doing it now, I can say it worked. Before then, you wouldn't hear me speak like this.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, but because I'm in it, I'm able to see how much it helped assist them, how much they're able to navigate their way. You have students who graduated, come back and thank me for what I did. You know, so it's not, if I wasn't in it as an educator, trust me, my tune, my based on how I've grown, how I've grown up, I would be singing, I would be talking like this.
You are walking the walk currently. Some parents are aware, perhaps in the same way that you were aware, Mr. Chippy, that, you know, at 3 there was a traumatic event, but we'll grow out of it. We'll come past it. For some parents, it's not even so distant. Sometimes it's a natural death by natural cause of a close family member. Whatever it is, the child is traumatized. From your position, do you believe that mental health support is, and perhaps professional mental health support is required for the child to have an optimal experience afterwards? Because some parents think that the child will grow it out and grow past it. But do you think that's the best approach?
All right. As you said, some parents will tend to think the child is a phase. Or,
yes,
you know,
they're just acting out.
Good. To be honest, most of those parents are embarrassed by their own situation. It's a reflection of, they see it as a reflection of their type of parenting. So they're very embarrassed about it. So when they speak like that, it's really deflecting. You understand me? Rather than confronting the issue at hand. But the truth is that you ask a question if it is, you know, the professional. While the professional help is very good, it's also good that they have a community to support more than anything else. Now, when at my school, I tend to educate the students about differences and mental health, and sometimes it's okay to state that we're not okay.
You're doing it at an institutional level.
Yes.
And you think other schools perhaps could take that approach too,
yes.
where the school community has that as a strategic approach.
And the good thing about it, I'm aware of some of the public schools that are doing that. So what we do, we tend to enlighten them about the situation, help them to support each other, because as it is now, I have students who are at the institution that have some form of mental challenges. And you'll be surprised to know how supportive their peers is. So, you know, even the person who is experiencing a mental challenge tend to forget or tend to overlook that, hey, something is, you know,
because of a healthy community.
Because of the community in which. So while the professional help is good, but without that community base, whether be it at school, at home, it's really needed to help them get through it.
We want to have more conversations like this where we talk about mental health in education, but I think this is an amazing point to wrap up. More than doctors and medication, and obviously more than shame and deflection, creating positive communities around our children for them to feel safe, to explain how they feel, and to be supported when they explain those feelings are the ways in which we can make sure that the mental health of our children are at its optimal so that we can ensure the best educational outcomes. I want to thank you so much, Mr. Chippy, not only for being an excellent father, but a great academic leader. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
All right, that was it today for Piccadilly Talks. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm your host, Angelique Virtue. Soon come. Walk good.